It is my place to be, my existence in every shadow, in every silhouette, in the light and shade of who I was.
The first information that we got was of a body, a boy and a girl found nude somewhere in Vasant. That was the first information that we got.
It could be anybody. This is a story that we need to tell the world so that it doesn't happen again.
This was every woman's story.
This story, I think, shook up the citizens not just of Delhi but across the country.
There was a point in time when my own family members wanted to join the protest.
Just something struck a chord with people this time.
After all that emotion, you know, she just gave up and she just died.
There was so much anger. There was anger that the perpetrators were not caught. There was anger against government apathy.
It didn't feel as though something will actually happen.
You know what they say? They say law is for people, people are not for the law. You can't make examples out of people just because you think they are guilty of a crime and they need to be subjected to this punishment.
And I think he was the most brutal person. When this happened, he was the most brutal.
बस आप सोच नहीं सकते क्या क्या हुआ है. This is what we kept telling everybody.
Where I lived my dream, in the lanes and alleyways of all that could have been.
Well, it was the 16th of December. I think late in the night, the initial reports came in that a gang rape had happened in somewhere in South Delhi, and it took place in a moving bus.
Primarily, when the incident happened, it wasn't so big. Because we at least get inputs from 50 bureaus every day. And getting an incident of rape is a routine thing.
But on 17th morning when we reached Vasant Vihar police station, I spoke to the investigating officers and few other cops who were present. And these hardened cops, those who have seen many rape cases, murder, other brutal cases of crime in the capital, they said that they had tears in their eyes when they were writing the FIR, when they were preparing the report.
Every time a bus passes, a white color bus that used to pass by, ye bus hai, this is the bus. So like you're mad, you're shooting that bus and you come to know, okay, that's not the thing.
When did you shoot the bus?
I did shoot the bus, yeah. I did shoot the bus.
The first time that I met the 3 patrolling officers who had helped them for the first time, who were the ones who actually put them in the police van and took them to the hospital, they gave an insight over what they felt when they saw the two of them.
मैडम, हमने 10 बजे उनको बिल्कुल आपत्तिजनक हालत में देखा था. उनके बदन पे एक भी कपड़ा नहीं था. दोनों बिल्कुल निवस्त्र थे.
नजदीक जाने के बाद देखा तो लड़की भी निर्वस्त्र पड़ी हुई है. जैसे देखो भाई बताया, मैंने कंट्रोल को बताया, अपने बेडशीट लाया हूँ मैं होटल से जाके, बेडशीट फिर फाड़ के दोनों को उड़ाया है. तो उस टाइम लड़की के ब्लड की हमें जब पता चला कि बहुत ज्यादा ब्लड जा रहा है लड़की के, इसलिए हालत गंभीर है.
I lived. I wanted to be alive. Alive. In the small things that make life out of you and me. In the books that I read. In the lines I read in between.
In our newsroom, we thought this was a moving bus. A girl had been gang raped and thrown out. And you know, through the night, all those gory details started pouring in. And I think by midnight that night, we at Headlines Today, all of us, you know, who had decided about next day's coverage, had decided that this is going to be a really big story. We had no clue about the anger that was, you know, going to spill out onto the streets in Delhi.
Post 17th was the time when we started witnessing sporadic protests. It started first at Safdarjung, in fact, where the girl was admitted.
Initially, the doctors at Safdarjung were kind of circumspect. They were not very friendly and forthcoming with details of what Jyoti was going through, the kind of treatment she was giving. Very sketchy information would come out.
On 18th and 19th, there were several attempts, several groups, women organizations, student groups, especially the people from the JNU. the student body from the JNU, they played a very vital part in organizing the initial protest. They wanted to first go and meet Sheila Dikshit. They were stopped. Then they started walking towards the president's office. On 20th, a large section of people, when they were trying to go towards President's house, they were stopped. And then were the next 2 days of dramatic protests here at Vijay Chowk.
You had candlelight vigils, you had silent marches, you had silent sit-ins by people who just wanted to come out and extend their support. People who wanted to convey to the establishment and to the powers that be that they had taken enough.
So the police is out in large numbers ensuring the total implementation of Section 144. All around us you can see very poignant scenes out here. Protesters.
Girls were being beaten up, they were thrashed, they were being dragged. I remember a shot where a police man was dragging a girl, her clothes were going all over the place. It just shook me.
The establishment, courts, everyone, you know, the system in general was spooked because for the first time this wasn't a movement that had a face, it didn't have an identity. It was completely organic. It was completely viral. This was, you know, people who didn't have a leader. It was just thousands of people in Delhi, from Haryana, from outside, who just converged on the city to express their anger.
I was in the Ministry of Defence covering another story when Rahul called and said, just rush to India Gate, start anchoring from there. The story is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I got to India Gate, it was difficult even getting there. It was a sea of humanity, people in large numbers, and this was a time when that area was to a very large extent barricaded, but even the police hadn't anticipated that people would come out in such large numbers.
The police is resorting to the use of water cannons and lathi charge, and the protesters are in turn pelting stones at the Delhi police.
A whole bunch of people from the other side have actually been chased all the way this way, as you can see.
Water cannon, tear gas shells were lobbed even on the media along with the protesters here.
You know, I was speaking to all the officers, and they thought that, you know, somehow the things will subside. But then the things were getting out of the control continuously.
You know, where maybe a mild lathi charge would have sufficed, they brought out their tear gas shells and, you know, their lathis and their water cannons. Like there was a full-on, you know, communal thing happening there. It wasn't. It was at the end of the day, it's Delhi, it was central Delhi, there were civilians.
Mechanism for police turning, you know, sort of violent was that the death of their own police personnel.
Of course, we cannot forget the fact that there were some members from the public who actually vandalized, but the point here is that all of that happened after almost 7 to 8 hours of patient waiting and sloganeering, and in that entire time, Shiv, to be very honest, it felt as if India did not have a government.
There is genuine and justified anger and anguish at the ghastly crime of gang rape.
Perhaps the government got it wrong. They ought to have engaged. The Prime Minister, even other leaders should have come out and openly engaged with these young boys and girls who were out on the street.
So we decided to actually sort of venture into the crowds, into a part of the area where, you know, there were rumors that things were maybe spiraling out of control.
When they are trying to get away, and on the other side. This was the time when the police had decided to charge towards the inner circle, where the people were sitting, where the media was.
Unprecedented images that we're seeing right here at India Gate. Perhaps the first time that the media itself.
We were actually running into them. Suddenly, out of nowhere, out of the smoke, cloud of this tear gas, I saw a familiar face. That was Mr. Vijay Goyal, a BJP leader. And as soon as I started speaking, I was hit by that water cannon.
And anybody who's faced a water cannon will tell you it really hurts.
That was the time I gave the mic to Shiv. And then later in the evening, throughout those 5, 6, 10, 15 next minutes when the police charged the media.
And we had a camera person, Deepak, with us who was recording all of that information. So
then we realized that the police is charging towards us. So we were running back towards, we thought they would not charge the media. We were running back towards the lines where our setup was.
While we moved back, the water cannons had, obviously they had direct orders from the government that, the media needs to be cleared from here.
The trick that time to save yourself was to show the mic. So I remember me and Shiv were sharing a mic. So when he was speaking, I was standing behind him. When I was speaking, he was standing behind me, so to make sure that we don't get hit.
They have now taken the control of India Gate, this enclosure here where the media was, where the protesters had come in the afternoon.
The media was not the story. We were not the story in this particular place. But at the end of the day, if the media was attacked in this way, if our equipment was going to be destroyed, and they did try to destroy our equipment, how could we tell the story?
There is a complete crackdown. Policemen chasing each and every single protesters. One of our colleagues has just gotten hit. Deepak, if you could just pan the camera here. Amit Chaudhary from Aaj Tak has just been hit. This man you see on your screen is an Aaj Tak journalist. He has just been hit and he's faced a lathi on his leg. So when I tell you that this is a crackdown concerning everybody here, they're cracking down on journalists as well. Ankit Tyagi got hit by a brick earlier today on his leg. This isn't a situation that is calming down. We've been appealing for calm. We've been appealing for people to control themselves.
What irked me most were calls from the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting asking us to temper our coverage, asking us not to go live to these protests. And I, as a journalist, as a narrator, felt that, this is an attempt to clamp down on our freedom of speech. Shinde should have come out and met the protesters. He didn't. He, in fact, linked them to Naxals. And I think that was something which really got on the nerves of many people.
सहयोग देने का बहुत प्रयास किया है. आज भी मैं कहता हूं कि शांति रखिए और कुछ ऐसा चित्र हमारे देश के बाहर न चले जाए जो कि दुनिया चर्चा करे.
Every corner that stood in the shade, the sudden light of places known, in motion moving away, the city shall be, as I left it be.